Hi, welcome to Advancement Insight. Today we're going to talk about getting things done for success. Step 3, organizing. I know, organizing. Ugh. Who enjoys organizing all that information that you just wrote down because you're following along, right? And you wrote down all those things that were on your mind. We already did step 1, which is capture everything. And so you wrote out, typed up everything that you had to take either action on or thought about to do or anything. Then we did process. We figured out a process for it. Was it actionable? What would you do? And you either did it, you delegated it to somebody else, or maybe it required somebody else to do it, or you deferred it and you put it out to a later time. Now we're going to talk about organizing. Alright, so now you got all these like stacks of paper or this huge like just random list, right? Okay, we're going to need to create multiple lists. You're going to have to create about 7 or 8 lists depending on your situation. You're going to want to create a list that's around phone calls, so that way you know you got to make calls for these action items, or a PC list for when you have to be at your computer. Maybe it's something that you do online. You'll do something like an errands list, like you have to be out and about. Like, I've got to pick this up at Home Depot, or I've got to go get this food somewhere. By the way, shout out to Lowe's over Home Depot. Don't know why I picked Home Depot. And then number 4 would be like, I've got to do this at the work or office. So your 4th list would be work or office. Your 5th list would be something that you have to do at home. Maybe it's something you thought about, like, you know, cleaning something up, maybe working on some bookshelves or something like that. And then you'll have like a catch-all almost, which would be like list number 6. This would be like your anywhere list. I can do this at any time, any place. It doesn't have to be at home, or it doesn't have to be at these previous locations. And then there's going to be your last one, which is like your read and review. This is where you put in your reference. Okay, so after you've created these 7 action lists, and you know obviously which ones are going to go where. If you say call the bank to get a better interest rate, well, call the bank. You got to put 7 categories. All right, there's. I know this seems like a lot, but once you start this process, it's really, really simple, because then you're just like, oh, this needs to go here, this needs to go here. And when you have time, which, trust me, you have a lot of time if you stop with the Netflix and the chill, at least stop with the Netflix, you'll have a multiple lists. So you need to have like a project list. This project list is like the overarching thing. Maybe you want to, you know, build out a nice built-in cabinet. Okay, that's an overarching project. No details will go on that list, but you're going to write out a whole bunch of just projects that you want to do. Work projects, home projects, it doesn't matter. So you're going to write out a project list, okay? The second one you're going to want to create is a project support material list, like supporting like information or even literal like material that you're going to need to acquire, you know, like just more support information for that project list. You don't want to put it all together in just one huge document. This can be very diluted. So you want like something that has, you know, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 projects, just like a single line listed, and then you'll have a list for each one of those projects of more like support information if you want, but at a minimum a project list. And then you're going to have calendar actions, which this is where it's again time driven. Create things in your calendar. All right. If it needs to be done at a certain specific time, put it in your calendar. Hopefully a digital one, but if you use your desk calendar still, then definitely leverage that. Then your next one is going to be the next action list, which that's like the list of lists. That's the one where we just discussed, you know, your make a call PC, you know, list, your at home list, you know, if you're at your office list. All of those types of lists are under, again, that's your action list. You're going to want to make all of those. And then there's going to be a reference material. Okay, this is where you're going to put in, again, everything that you want to just don't want to forget. Maybe it's like specific like stats, or just general information. Maybe a category of like, you know, all the board games that you have, or maybe all the dwarves that you have, and you can categorize that. That's a reference material as an example. And then the last one is like your someday, maybe later list. Not important, but put it on there, because if it's in your head and you're constantly thinking about it, you're not getting it out. You're not allowing your brain to do what it's great at, which is to come up with ideas. not to remember everything, because trust me, you just won't. I mean, we're not all Sheldon here, okay? All right, so just to recap, you're going to have your major categories: a project list, list all the projects you want to do, and then you're going to create a list for each project of support information if you want to go that detailed, okay? At a minimum, just a project list line by line, all right? Then you're going to do the calendar actions, or things that you need to put into your calendar, okay? And then the fourth one is going to be your next action list, or your actions list. And that list is actually 7 broken out lists. Phone calls that you got to make when you're at your computer, when you're at your work or office, your home, anywhere, and then like reference or read review later, maybe some books that you want to read, right? That would go into that category as well, all right? And then afterwards, you're going to have your reference list, and then your someday later list, all right? So again, a lot of these lists, I know there's a whole bunch. They're all going to be in the description, so please take a look below. Also, if you want to check out the book for getting things done and have it more detailed and more structured, I highly recommend it. Check the Amazon link again in the description. All right, so with all those lists that you need to make and categorize and organize everything that you've captured and processed as whether or not you need to do it, take that insight and charge into action.